Welcome to the inaugural edition of the Northern Stars Huskie All Access.
My name is Mike Buda, and this is Ben Gross. Before we kick it over to Ben with football, I'm going to tell you a little bit more what's happened this past week with men's football. A couple days ago, men took on #1 Akron in Ohio, and sad to say they didn't come up with a win, getting us a goal scored on them in the 70th minute on an unlucky free kick from outside the 18-yard box. They've been going back and forth all season, going back and forth with wins and losses, but this week, hopefully, with the game against Milwaukee, they could bring it back after a tough game against the #1 team in the country.
Now, Mike, this is the second time NIU has faced the #1 team, isn't it?
Yeah, earlier in the season, Huskies played #1 North Carolina, 0-0 draw. You'd like to get a better result out of those games, but the way they played showed that they could play with any team in the country, and hopefully they could do that heading to the final stretch of the season.
Now, what did Coach Eric Luzzi said that the team needs to do here then in this final stretch?
All they need to do is bring energy, and they should be fine for the rest of the season. Past couple weeks, maybe they haven't done that so much in the game against Buffalo, but yesterday they brought a lot of energy, matching with the normal crowd in Akron, usually a bunch of hecklers, but they did a pretty good job.
Well, excellent. Well, Mike, thanks for that recap there. In American football news, the NIU football team lost to Toledo 19-20. Now, Mike, this was a heartbreaker. Mike Salerno setting up with 44 seconds left to kick the game-winning field goal and has the field goal blocked or maybe not kicked high enough yet. They don't know. They need to review film. Still, this marks now the 18th time out of the last 20 times when the Huskies faced the Rockets where NIU left with a loss. I mean, that's a bit there of total domination, I would say. NIU, tried to get going right away. They actually forced a fumble of Toledo on the first drive, won the turnover battle 3-1, but their offense just did not show up until late in the second half, and by then it was too little too late. That blocked field goal obviously was not the way they wanted to force to win the game, but once again, special teams was part of the problem as a blocked PAT happened earlier in the game, and NIU kicked a punt for 47 yards and let Toledo return it for 41 yards back basically in the NIU's own red zone. Now the Huskies are going to go on a tear here, facing more MAC opponents. They're 1-1 in the MAC, still control their own destiny, but they're going to have to play teams that are below average compared to even Toledo, some even winless, and they have to bring their energy level up to what they can play, as we've seen against teams like Purdue and Western Michigan, and not to their opponents' levels, as we've seen what they've done against Idaho and Toledo.
Now, do you think maybe if it wasn't for that too little too late each game, you could be looking at a 6-0 record this year?
I think so. I think it's all about what this team does out of the start gate. I mean, look at Western Michigan. They came out right away, set the tone, was able to win that game. I think when this team comes out a bit unsure of itself, a bit lethargic, that's when they get themselves in these situations where they need these last-second heroics, such as Wisconsin and Idaho, to win these games. It's all about how you start. But Mike, enough about American football. Tell us a little bit more about football.
Well, with women's soccer this past weekend, it wasn't that good. 2 losses in their 2 home games against Central Michigan and Eastern Michigan. First game coming against Central Michigan, the 1-0 lost. Possibly an unlucky goal, getting Augusta win, put it over Lindsey Kernock. And then today, coming against Eastern Michigan, a 2-1 loss. Possibly a riot starting after the game.
I heard the Eastern Michigan coach and fans and players get into their vehicles real quick to get out of town.
Tempers flaring, but you would think the women's soccer team's got to pick it up, got to be scoring more goals, getting more chances. 6-game losing streak after they started out 4-4-2. Season could be falling out of their grips.
It might be. It might be. Well, luckily, though, we do have one saving grace. The women's volleyball team, after starting out the MAC season 0-3, has won their last 5 games straight, including 2 this weekend. What could have been a hectic schedule involving some planes and trains and maybe even automobiles. I don't know. It seemed like they were at every form of transportation. But they were able to salvage that road trip, or not even salvage, outperform themselves. It started with a win against Buffalo in 4 games and then a 4-game win over Akron. Megan Schoenrock led the crew with 45 kills. Close behind her was Allison McLaughlin with 39 kills, and Cassie Yates finished up 21 kills this weekend. Maddie Hughes led the team with 42 digs, and Monica Lang and Allison McLaughlin tied with 17 digs this weekend. Now, as I said, this group started 0-3 against Ball State, Toledo, and Western Michigan, but then was able to respond with 5 wins. They get Ball State and Toledo and Western Michigan again, and they actually get Ball State and Toledo at their final home weekend, which is going to be Halloween weekend, that Friday and Saturday. So it seems like Ray Gooden and the volleyball team, was their saving grace this weekend in Husky sports by providing the only wins.
Do you think they could keep it up after winning 5 games in a row earlier in the season? They were on 2 different, couple long losing streaks.
I think so. I think this is a team that needed to find out who they were and who they are. They lost some key seniors from last year, like Irene Johnson, and I think they're developing a bit more cohesiveness right now. They're finding some of that consistency, some of that groove, and they're going to be tested again. There's going to be some more hard. Facing teams like Western Michigan will be hard, but I think that second time around they're going to be more prepared. And I think once again it's one of those things where you can't predict the future, but I think they're finding their stride right now. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the inaugural edition of Northern Star Husky All Access. Once again, it was Mike Buda, Ben Gross. We enjoyed having you. If you want more information, follow us either at our website, www.northernstar.info/sports, on our Facebook page, which is Northern Star Sports, or at our Twitter, which is NS Sports. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good night.